Afternoon, everybody. Today we're going to do a very simple but very flavorful salmon dish using our PIC induction cooker. We have here a really nice piece Norwegian farm-raised salmon. I'm going to show you a little trick real quick. This is straight from the butcher and supermarket. I got it with the skin on. Two reasons. One, when the skin is on, I can tell how fresh it is. Number two, we're actually going to cook and serve the skin because it's a very healthy part of the fish. First thing we're going to do is going to take paper towels. We're just going to dry it off. What that does, make sure that it's not going to stick to our pan. And then I'm going to cut it. A couple of different things I can do with this piece. As you can tell, this is pretty much a center cut. The tail tapers this way, and here's the head. And you have a couple of different things to look for. First thing, you want to run your hand along here and make sure the butcher took out the pin bones, which he did. And he also did a pretty nice job of filleting it. We have two different heights on the salmon, as you can see. We have the part where the spine runs along, which is the thickest, and then it comes down to the belly, which on the salmon is actually pretty thin. It's also very, very full of fat and very full of flavor. So what I'm going to do is show you a trick how to get two different dishes out of this one salmon. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to take the belly off. We're going to do that with just a straight cut right down and using the depth of the fish, the thickness, as a guide. So as you can see where it starts to taper off, that's where we're going to cut it. Nice sharp knife, straight down. Gives you this beautiful piece of belly. If you go out to sushi restaurants, you're going to get this sliced paper thin nigiri style over some rice. Phenomenal taste. We could also cut it up, make it into a salmon tartare. But what I'm going to do later on is I'm going to cook it as a secondary dish, as an appetizer you can serve your guests. So that's number one. So what we're going to do is now I have this beautiful, basically a center loin cut salmon. And it has the even thickness all the way across. So instead of serving a big piece of salmon that you traditionally see served in restaurants and at homes, we're going to actually make smaller pieces. It's going to be just as filling. You're going to get more value for your dollar. Right here along the side, the top fins run along. This is actually the dorsal fin. And you can see some cartilage that's left behind from the butchering. And I want to take that off because it can be a little chewy. And it's actually not very complicated. You have a sharp knife. You're just going to run your knife right alongside of it. Trim it off with a little bit of the skin and what remains of the dorsal fin. Here's the cartilage right there. You can see it's one single part of this is a little tough to cut, but you can get through it. And this is scrap. Put this here. So we have our belly and our center cut. Out of the center cut, which weighs about a pound, I'm going to get 3 beautiful center cut fillets. And I always cut the flesh side first down towards the skin. It makes it easier to go through the skin than trying to go through it this side. Look how bright and fresh the skin is. This is one of the ways you can tell if the fish is fresh, unless the fish has its head on. When you're in the supermarket, though, and they only have the fillets out, it's not always easy to tell if the fish is fresh. The one way is to look at the skin. Make sure it's not slimy. Make sure that the scales, if they're on there, don't flake off when you run your finger off it. Loose scales show an older fish. Also, when you press it, the skin should bounce back. Should leave a little indentation and then fill back in. Then we notice it's relatively fresh fish. The number one way to know if fish is fresh or not is to smell it. And this one smells like the ocean. It's pretty good. So skin side down, I'm going to eye mark out 3 beautiful fillets. Here's number 1, 2, and 3. You can see we have beautiful fish, the orange color, and we're going to have the skin on top, which is going to be edible, and I'm going to show you how to do that. Very simple. What we're going to do now, I'm going to lightly season the flesh side only with just a tiny sprinkle of salt. The sauce on this dish is soy sauce, which of course is sodium. So again, like our other recipes, we want to control how much salt we put on if our other ingredients have sodium. And also some black sesame seeds are going to form a little bit of a crust on the flesh side of the fish and also prevent it from getting too overcooked or developing too much of a flesh burn when it hits the pan. So here's my pan. It's been heating up. I'm going to put it up to medium high. Actually, I'm going to put it on high. That's going to give me a nice sear. The flavoring oil in this dish is sesame oil, but sesame oil would burn because it has a low smoke temperature. So I'm going to start the dish with canola oil, which then we're going to get rid of. Give the pan a little rinse. Make sure there's no dust in there, and then start with my canola oil. And that's a tablespoon. And again, this is our perfect green nonstick pan. I don't need the oil. This is just to facilitate making the skin nice and crisp like glass. The oil starts to move around. We know it's hot. The other reason why I dry the fish, it takes the water away, prevents it from spattering when I put it into the oil, because we know oil and water don't mix. So we got 3 beautiful fillets in here. What I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna let them cook about 5 minutes on the skin. That's gonna give the skin a beautiful crush, almost like a cracker that's edible. And then we're gonna turn them and finish them another 4 minutes and they'll be done. We'll take them out of the pan, let them rest, and then we'll finish the sauce as soon as we come back. Welcome back, everyone. Okay, so I've already turned the salmon after crisping up the skin. As you can see in the pan, I got almost like a glass-like on here. The skin is extremely edible. Matter of fact, in America, one of the few cultures that actually don't eat fish skin. But all around the world, many species of fish, people eat the skin. I'm gonna take these out because they're fully cooked. I'm gonna put them on a resting plate. We'll let the flesh settle back down from being in that high intense heat. Okay? And in the same pan, I'm gonna simply make the sauce. So I'm taking out the canola oil because its life cycle has been used. It's already reached its smoke temperature. It's not good at this point for cooking with. So now in this pan, I'm gonna take some honey, about 2 tablespoons. Honey not only is gonna give this sweetness in a floral sense, but it's also gonna caramelize. You can see how it goes right to the boil in the hot pan. It's about 3 tablespoons of honey. Now before the honey over caramelizes and burns, I'm gonna add the rice vinegar. Be careful, you're gonna get a little splatter from this. You can add it in stages if you want. This is the base of our sauce. Put the heat down now to medium. We got a nice caramelization. Now the body of the sauce is the soy sauce. I'm actually using low sodium soy sauce. Once this comes back to the boil, I'm gonna bring it up because now I'm gonna reduce it fast, almost to like a syrup, what we call it a glaze in the kitchen. A few more black sesame seeds right into the sauce. They'll get toasty. And a big pinch of fresh black pepper. We're done here, we can turn this off now. And I'm gonna show you how to plate up. I'm gonna take one of our crispy skinned salmons. Nice and elegant, beautiful contrast in the pink flesh, the dark crispy skin. And then we're gonna have this amazing, basically sweet and sour, salty type sauce on there. Honey, rice vinegar, soy sauce. Very simple and very complimentary to the fish. Put the spoon a little over the top, and then we'll give you guys a little fancy couple of dots around there to impress the neighbors with. How about that? And that's it, our crispy skinned salmon with our honey soy glaze. Very simple, economical, and very healthy. Enjoy.